This game was recommended to me by a subscriber, and since we've got more than one Scarlett fan out there, I knew we didn't want to miss it. And I, for one, hold it. We've got a probe out on the map already. This could just be that new trend we're seeing. A lot of Protoss are trying to get out there early to body block the Zerg's natural. Better get those intros. When I get mad, I see red like bull. When the Queen of Blades gets mad, she sees Scarlett! But the first foreigner to ever win a premier Starcraft II tournament held on Korean soil? Now that's something this game needs! Alright, so Neeb's gonna set up on the low ground outside his natural. And he is indeed gonna block Scarlett's natural. And with great poise, Scarlett's gonna ignore that and just set right up at her third. The drama here is while our Canadian Zerg player is more decorated as of late, the American Protoss took her down 4-2 in the grand finals of last year's 2019 WCS Winter Americas tournament. In fact, Neeb's had a ton of success against Scarlett. And here she goes, extract her pool, completing her slightly delayed 16/17 hatch build. Part of it may just be that Scarlett's made it quite well known publicly that she detests playing against Protoss. And another possible factor is just that Neeb has been one of her significant practice partners. These players know each other, and they're motivated to put each other in their place, which makes for some great Starcraft. Neeb's Nexus is down. He's going to do that just before his core. We don't see that quite as much as we used to anymore. So it's one of those details that are so subtle that the significance is largely lost on me. Neeb's added that second probe to his first assimilator. And he'll be ordering a second. Yes, there it is. But what will we see out of Scarlett when that spawning pool completes? And what have we here? Oh, it's just a pylon Neeb setting up possibly for a location to hide his tech. And with a splash of creep, the pool completes, as will Scarlett's second hatchery at her third base location. She's banked the money to immediately order 2 queens and it looks like 4 lings. She immediately starts ling speed as well, and takes her drone off the gas to go back to minerals. Neeb's core is done, so I want to see his tech choice. But he's also going to get a scout off at Scarlett's main. Not too much to see there other than a face full of lings. Oh, it's going to be a Stargate for Neeb. We're going to see some Stargate play. There's a possibility here that our Zerg player could grab the first blood. Oh, but more importantly, she's going to grab her third base, which is at her natural. Thank you for making this confusing, Neeb. There is an Adept out on the map now, so those lings are going to have to think long and hard about... Yeah, they're not going to push it. Though in actuality, it turns out the Adept is staying at home. She's patrolling the access point to her third. A second Adept is on the way. Scarlett's Overlord is going to see that. The Overlord's also going to see him at a second gate. Ah, there goes the Adept. He faked me out with a shade. We will see some early harass/scouting from the Protoss. Scarlett's second Overlord's also going to see the Stargate complete. Just like us, she's going to want to see what Neeb's going to produce out of there. There's the shade into the southern base. Lings pick it up. It does not complete. Neeb will satisfy himself with a couple of pot shots at the natural base location. And it's going to be an Oracle coming out of that Stargate. The Overlord wants to get out of there. It's very common for Neeb to mix in a Phoenix. The lone Adept is not able to get too much done other than donate her shields. But Neeb's going to keep his Adept alive for a venture to be named later. No drone snipes, but he's not throwing away any units either. Instead, we'll advance to the next phase of the game, which involves an Oracle Harass. It's always difficult to know if Protoss gets value for their Oracle or not. They cost a lot of gas, but they've got a lot of utility throughout the game. Neeb in particular is big on revelations and stasis wards. Looks like he's going to try to slip in between the second and third base. He is spotted. There is nothing at the natural for him to attack. Spores on the way for Scarlett. There's no queen yet at the lower base location. Neeb's going to try to sneak in there. The Oracle's going to trade out its shield for drone hits. That's going to earn Neeb the first blood, but he will take some hull damage. Build number 2 out of that Stargate was a Phoenix, and he's going to pick up an Overlord. The very one that was spying on the Stargate to begin with. And the third thing out of that Stargate is a second Oracle. Oh, everyone please rise for the opening warp gate ceremony. Still the most elegant moment in all of StarCraft. Which is followed by the very first warp into the game, a pair of Adepts. It looks like a lot of Adepts for Neeb, but there's no Twilight Council at this point to suggest a glaive strategy. Instead, he's finishing off a Robo and starting his third. potentially going on even bases against his Zerg opponent. The double oracles have not been able to pick up any more drone kills, and Scarlett has started her lair. Neeb has, though, kept his oracles alive, as well as his phoenix, and he's starting an immortal. Oh, apparently the penalty for touching Neeb's watchtower is death. Remind me not to do that next time I go over to visit. Oh, Scarlett's gonna try run by on the third, but Neeb's got that Sim City I love. There's no surface area to attack that adept, and he's gonna further reinforce it with the shield battery. It looks like Neeb's Air Force is gonna collect and gather on the northwest side of Scarlett's main. Let's call them Red Squadron, as in Red Squadron is a go! Oh, he's up to 3 oracles now. Oh, but Scarlett's got 3 queens to go with her spore. It looks like the only way that Neeb's gonna get drones at this point is if he's willing to trade out his oracles. Oh, Roach Warren's done. And we just saw an Evo chamber start for Zerg. No actual sign of roaches thus far. Scarlett opts for a huge round of drones instead. Oh, Neeb tried for a queen lift there, but the spore drove him off. Meanwhile, Scarlett reclaims that watchtower, driving off those adepts. Oh, but there's no way those lings are getting anything done here. There's too much firepower guarding Neeb's third for those lings. And speaking of firepower, here come the Immortals. Neeb is assembling a ground force. I think he's pushing out. We could be looking at an Immortal sentry push. With a couple extra adepts, the lings are gonna see it. And look how far Scarlett's creep has been pushed. 6.5 minutes and she's practically at his front door. Oh, the Phoenix is gonna spot that infestation pit. As soon as the lings spotted Neeb's army, Scarlett starts a wave of 9 roaches. Neeb is using his oracles to spot the creep tumors. He knows he needs to control that creep. That shade cancels, and lucky too, because those roaches popped out at just the right time. Scarlett's gonna turn 2 of them into Ravagers. Neeb's going home. But he leaves a couple of stasis wards in the middle of the map. We've seen Neeb build these defensive zones in the middle of the map before. Red Squadron's gonna see +1 happening in that Evo chamber. Always nice to scout while killing drones. But they did not get the scout on the Nidus network. This just got real. Neeb's working on +1 attack himself, but also the Zealot leg upgrade, which is being accompanied by a gateway explosion. He's adding 4 more gates. And he's got a warp prism now too. But worm number 1 is underway and the swarm hosts are in production. Oh man, this never gets old for me. I love watching this. The Zergling says, "Arise, master, arise!" Only 2 swarm hosts? That's a bit underwhelming. There's 9 more on the way, but they're not here yet, and that probe is gonna spot the Nidus. Neeb gets lucky. He just happened to be making a pylon. Neeb sees it and he rushes over with his army. Oh, great force field block. He traps and kills one of the swarm hosts, only 2 escape. That was awesome. But Scarlett is undaunted. She's gonna try again in the north location. Neeb's familiar with this push-pull routine. He's sending a scout up north to take a look. He also just doesn't want to sit around and be attacked. He's gonna counter with his warp prism. Here comes the warp-in. But it's only 3 zealots. I guess that's not the deadliest attack known to man. Scarlett should have enough lings at home to deal with that. The swarm hosts to the north have already escaped and they've left a pretty big pile of presents. The zealots get cleaned up. Not sure why Neeb's fighting the swarm hosts here. I like the Showtime method where you just let them expire. Neeb was probably worried if he disengaged, the Locust would turn on his nearby buildings. Oh, this is a great spot for Scarlett. The Locust can fly right over and hit the third. And if Neeb wants to run around and dislodge the swarm host, he first has to get by the roaches. That's a pretty fat wave on the way. Neeb's researching Storm, which is a great response, but it takes 110 seconds before it's complete. Meanwhile, Neeb's forced to make that Sophie's choice between sacrificing units in his army or his buildings. Yeah, this location is definitely going to be a problem for Neeb. And look at this. Scarlett starts another worm, but just lower down. Neeb knows he can't sit back here. He's going to have to fight his way. Scarlett's been really smart with her swarm host management. She keeps them divided in 2 groups so that their cooldowns are separate. It makes it so much harder for your opponent to guess the gaps where they're free to attack. Neeb is rebuilding that 4th, and that pylon's going to give him vision of the worm, though I'm not sure if Neeb himself has actually seen it. Storm is finishing, and Neeb's adding additional gates. Scarlett's adding a 2nd infestation pit. She's still got her first one, so that might be a misclick. But she's also adding a Hydra Den. I think this is a great decision for Scarlett. She's maxing out on that heavy roach supply, but she's also building quite a bit of a bank. Transitioning to Hydras will let her slowly upgrade the quality of her army. The downside is that Neeb has just finished Storm. Oh, I never get tired of watching that explosion. Well, that's tenacity. Neeb doesn't let a full second go by before he's already rebuilding his fort. He doesn't even wait for the last of the locusts to die. Oh, but now the roaches have broken in. Neeb's in a lot of trouble here. Is he gonna lose his natural? No, Neeb saves it with a recall. Scarlett's roaches get out of there. They're headed for the main. Oh, and it's a blocking warp in. A line of zealots stop the roaches in their tracks. The Immortal Archon are gonna get the cleanup. And on the other side of the battlefield, Neeb is killing drones. I know pretty much all Protoss do zealot run-bys, but for Neeb it's like an art form. For most of us it's just hitting your A key, but for Neeb it's how he turns games around. But he is not out of the woods yet. Scarlet's locusts continue to lay waste. Even after the recent drone losses, Scarlet's still leading on workers, she's still leading on army. But Neeb appears to be weathering the storm. He might even be gathering some momentum. He's got a lot of expensive, powerful units with those Archons and Immortals. It's a lurker den for Scarlett. She's also started Hive Tech. Probably so she can pair some Vipers with her lurkers. We are going to the next phase of this game, people. This is exciting. This is a good game. I was not steered wrong by this recommendation. Not too sure what this Hydra Force is going to be able to do against Neeb's powerful army, but if they're playing off of the Swarm Host waves, I could see them being very effective. Oh, but Neeb tags the Hydras with his Oracle. So much for the element of surprise. Though you gotta love what Scarlett's doing. She's not so much transitioning as she is adding additional layers onto her attacks. She's giving Neeb just so many different things to worry about. I feel like a lesser player would have been crushed by now. Oh yeah, those storms are very effective against those locusts. Plus, Scarlett's somehow grabbing her fifth while she's doing all of this. Zerg is out-resourcing the Protoss right now. Though it's not like Neeb's economy is exactly hurting. It is impressive that he's teching up while defending against a maxed out Zerg, and he's even generating some offense. Or at least I thought he was, I'm not sure where those zealots are going. Oh, Neeb with a big chance to cut off the Swarm Host, he gets the worm! But Scarlett covers her escape with a round of locusts. Neeb has to burn a ton of storms to deal with that. The locusts, though, are really cut off from the battle now. They've got something of a long march to get home. Neeb's actually got 6 Immortals and 7 Templar, and still he's got the weaker army on paper. Scarlett can't seem to crack Neeb's defense, but it's not like she's hurting. She's got the lead here. Neeb's got a tech switch of his own. He's now building 3 carriers out of 3 different starports. Carriers good against Swarm Hosts, good against Lurkers, but not so great against Mass Hydra. My take is if he's wielding those carriers in the right place, they'll be very effective. The wrong spot, and they are Hydra bait. Scarlett's researching Seismic Spines, the upgrade that increases the lurker range. She's also researching the range upgrade for the Hydras themselves. And she started fortifying her hatcheries with spine crawlers. That's gonna really reduce the effectiveness of these Zealot commando raids. And that's been a part of what's been keeping Neeb in this game. Though Neeb's not exactly hanging on by his teeth anymore. Thanks to his carriers, he's close to maxing out himself. He's even got more workers than Scarlett. Oh, those poor Hydras are so dead, so dead. Oh yeah, Neeb's now adding the interceptors and preparing +1 attack. Scarlett has a lot less Hydras than she did a few seconds ago, and that is going to be great news for the carriers. She is, though, adding a Spire. That's going to give her a chance to add Corruptors to counter those carriers. I'm starting to feel like with this game we're going to get to see every single last unit in the Zerg arsenal. I know it doesn't look like it with the frenzy of the battle, but this is a window for Neeb. For the moment, he's slightly bigger, he's slightly battered. If he wants to get something done, now's the time. Yeah, you don't have to fight those locusts there. Just pull back and let them time out. Those things are fruit flies, man, fruit flies. Well, maybe that's a bad analogy. Fruit flies live 40 to 50 days. A locust lasts for 18 seconds. Neeb seems to be holding back his carriers. He is finishing up a Dark Shrine. I wonder if he'll try to do something with that. Scarlett is charging up her Vipers. We know she'll do something with that. Here's a mental challenge for you. Try to name what units Scarlett has not used in this game so far. Neeb is now practically sporting an endgame army. He's got carriers backed by Templar. He just needs a mothership to go with it. Where's that mothership? Although you'd never know it from Scarlett's creep. The players have maxed out and they've effectively cut the map in half. Oh, we've got another foray from the Swarm Host. Oh, those zealots bring down the Swarm Host. Don't you wish the Swarm Host could do something to defend themselves, like a finger flick or something? Oh, Neeb's killer army's gonna hunt them down. The Locusts did take out the nascent Nexus, though. There was no cancel for Neeb. And killing a couple Archons for free is nothing to sneeze at either. Oh, there's this huge battle going on, but the Ursidon is quietly chatting with some Lings at the Watchtower. They look like they're like trading scores on the Nets game or something like that. Oh, DT's in the main, and you can see Scarlett is starting a huge round of Corruptors. She's also researching +1 air attack to go with it. Meanwhile, her Lurkers have position over Neeb's south base. That's gonna take a lot to dislodge. Looks like Neeb's gonna be a pragmatist about it. He's gonna sack it. No, I'm wrong. He's swinging over his main army. He's gonna be too late, though. That's one more Nexus for Scarlett's collection. There's observers mixed in with Neeb's army. Those Lurkers do not want to face the carriers, but Neeb makes it hard to go home. He force field blocks 3 Lurkers and then kills the worm, whereupon Scarlett immediately makes another one. We're gonna have to start asking ourselves if this game has Crimson Zone potential. Oh, never mind. The Corruptors and Viper Harpoons, they've found Neeb's army. Oh, but the storms force them back. Sorry, I just get mesmerized by carrier explosions. If I can remember, I gotta show you one in slow-mo at the end of the game. So many of these death animations are just works of art. Clearly there's something wrong with me. And wow, they both just immediately max right back out. Neeb goes for replacement carriers. Scarlett elects for more Hydras. Scarlett's working on +1 air. Neeb's working on +2 air. Neeb's about to get his +3 attack. Scarlett's had her +3 missile attack for some time. Oh, Neeb's gonna muscle in on Scarlett's forward center base. Scarlett's gonna pull back to the fringes and try to pick off carriers one at a time. The Swarm Hosts are here to reinforce. If nothing else, the Locusts are gonna suck up the storms that Neeb would rather save for the Corruptors. The Hydras are really gonna work on the interceptors, but Neeb has the funds to replace them. If we're keeping score, and we are, Scarlett did save that base, and she got a significant supply lead following that battle. Ooh, nice! See, this is why they won't give me the keys to the Protoss Armada. I'd hit the self-destruct button just so I could watch that. Oh man, 17 minutes, and we're barely at 350 kills. This game feels like a Crimson Zone game, but it is not. We just don't have the Banelings, I guess. That's like one of the only units Scarlett hasn't used. Oh, great recall! Neeb saves his base from the Locusts, sacrificing a few Archons instead. Hey, let's have a quick quiz. Other than Banelings, what units hasn't Scarlett used this game? There's not many. And the answer is... Ultras, Broodlords, Infestors. Oh, and Mutas. But she's busted out everything else, including Changelings. Neeb is looking decidedly weaker after that failed attack. Will he now crumble under the relentless pressure? Or will he remax? He no longer has the bank, but he sure is pulling in a decent clip of money. And once Air Attack 2 finishes up for him, he's going to have an upgrade lead, at least for a while. Oh, it's a Mushroom March. The Swarm Hosts are getting decidedly braver. I don't think Scarlett's looking to throw them away, but I don't think she'd be quite so disappointed if she lost them and got an opportunity to replace them at this point. They've been highly effective for it throughout this game, but they still haven't been able to get the job done. It's another solid defense for Neeb, but it costs Scarlett nothing. Except for maybe the cost of the Nidus Worm. Honestly, I've lost count of how many have there been. I think there's been like 20. I think worm number 20 is always called Bob for some reason. Let's call him Bob. Oh, I like this. It's a spore forest, people. Scarlett's maxed out. She's got money. Get yourself a forest. It's one of the Zerg late-game weapons that people don't talk about nearly enough. Your unit count's supposed to be maxed out at 200. But for Zerg, it's not really. The Zerg turrets are all mobile. They get up and walk around. Sure, they're slow. Spores and spines only have a speed of 2.5 when they're on creep. But you know what the speed of a Thor is? 2.62. It's practically the same. My point is, those are extra units, people. If you're maxed out, use them. WWSD, what would Scarlett do? She builds the forest. Whoa, like that. Scarlett's not gonna allow any zealot run-bys here at her northwest base. And if the carriers show up, their interceptors are in trouble. This puts Neeb in a really tough spot. If he wants to push out, he's gonna have to face the forest. But if he hangs back, the swarm hosts are gonna pick him apart eventually. Neeb's gonna mix in Void Rays. Void Rays are good against Corruptors. And if you get enough of them, they can rip down Spores pretty quick too. Spores have the Armored tag, which is the exact thing that Prismatic Alignment is for. Vipers and Corruptors, also armored. And what a lot of players overlook is that Void Rays actually do bonus damage against armored targets even without the Prismatic Alignment. It just gets that much better once you put it on. Oh, and Neeb's gonna make a mothership too! Meanwhile, Scarlett's going on an upgrade blitz. We see Pathogen Glands, Burrow, Flyer Carapace 2. She's even making Baneling speed. I didn't even notice she built the nest. We have yet to see a Baneling this game. I'm kinda hoping she doesn't, because I'd like to see our very first Crimson Zone game without Banelings. Oh, Neeb's adding in Tempest. I have hope that this will be a Crimson Zone game. At some point, at least one of our players has to lose a gigantic army. But since Locusts don't count on the counters, Swarm Hosts are like the anti-Crimson Zone unit. At this point, we should probably play for Neeb the same game we did for Scarlett. Can you name what units Neeb has not busted out this game so far? Not counting the Tempest and Mothership, which have yet to warp in, there are only 3. Stalker, Colossus, and Disruptor. But hold the phone, we're about to witness a Mothership appear. Remember when I said the opening Warp Gate ceremony was the epitome? I think I take it back. That is how you make an entrance. That's what I want to drive to my high school reunion. As long as the valet doesn't put any paint scratches on it. I'd be furious if he did. Absolutely furious. Alright, but seriously, let's see if Neeb's new tech choices change the dynamic of this game. He's maxed out or near maxed out again, but the Locusts are slowly hollowing him out. I always freak out when I see Protoss about to lose a core, and he has lost his core. But I guess at the 22-minute mark, it's not as critical. It's not like he's still making a lot of adepts. And the Nexus mined out a long time ago. But still, it does kind of feel like Neeb is slowly getting hollowed out. I don't see a way around it. At some point, he's got to face the forest. That's not a bad idea, though. If he makes these little clumps of shield batteries, that'll give him something to fall back to. If he can recharge over and over and over, maybe he'll have the shields he needs to punch through the forest. And look how advanced that forest is now. Scarlett's just gonna choke him right off. Oh, another wave of Locusts. Scarlett is getting good at this. She sends half to keep the Protoss army busy, the other half to go work on his base. Oh, somebody call the authorities. There's been another abduction. Our missing carrier had a gold and silver launch bay. He did not have a Graviton catapult, by the way, because that upgrade was removed from the game. Oh, I think I just saw Scarlett making Broodlords and Infestors. That's 2 more units we can cross off the list. There should be some kind of special achievement if you use every single unit of your race in a DreamHack game. Somebody let me know in the comments if that's ever been done. We're 23 minutes into this game now, and I'm starting to feel like we might have to get comfortable. There's always scenarios where the game will turn on the dime and end quickly, but I don't see too many of them. The Corruptors and Vipers are just coldly watching the Zealots slaughter the drones. If you want something done right, get some Lings to do it. Good on Neeb for finding a way to slip by the forest. I thought for sure the days of the Zealot run-by were over. Oh, that's an expensive relay of shield batteries and photon cannons. It's getting ripped apart by freebie Locusts. Oh, Neeb has sent in a wave of probes to die. Oh, this is significant. Neeb's decided his bank is big enough. It's about 5,000. He's trying to make room in his supply, get himself a bigger army. If he can get a big enough disparity in his army over Scarlett's, maybe he can crush it in one decisive move. That's the thinking behind it anyway. But once he gets that victory, he then has to knock out the Zerg hatcheries. Otherwise, the Zerg player just remaxes on him. Oh, 429. We're inching closer to a Crimson Zone here. We just need 500. I think it can be done. It will be done. The Nidus Worm is considered a structure, not a unit. Otherwise, we'd be over 500 already. Scarlett has lost a ton of worms, but it's not like she hasn't gotten value out of them. Oh man, that bottom right base has changed hands so many times. Nobody can hold it. Scarlett's not replacing her drones either. She's also used her cap room to increase her army size. And in the meantime, she continues to make spores. Neeb is going with more Void Rays. He's got the Flux Vein speed upgrade, by the way. Oh, is Neeb going for it? He's going at the forest. This could be the Protoss push we've been waiting for. The forest is going down. Where are the Corruptors? Ah, the Infestors are dropping fungal growths on the Interceptors. Neeb is pulling back. I think the invasion may have been cancelled. Scarlett immediately moves to replenish the forest. She's going to plant 7 more spores. They're not really new. They're being transplanted from elsewhere. They always look a little bit comical to me when they're on the move. Look like Neeb's decided to go with a different strategy. He's going to consolidate and try to hold this very contentious piece of land in the bottom right. Meanwhile, Scarlett's swarm hosts are like having a tea party in what used to be Neeb's base. Over time, Neeb's just been gradually shifting to the right. Scarlett is killing Neeb on the resources lost tab thanks to her swarm hosts. But given that they both have such huge banks right now, I'm not sure that's really determinative of anything. Neither player seems to be able to win this game. Somebody's got to bring it home. Well, the move for Neeb so far seems to be to try to rebuild that base. Maybe if he rings it with an obscene amount of shield batteries and photon cannons, he'll be able to hold it. But to me, it just kind of looks like a big glowing sign that says, "Send locusts here." Or maybe the Broodlords can get in on the action. Oh, 471 kill count. I think there's a proudly naked anteater in our future. Oh, the forest is getting pressed right up against Neeb's base. I don't think we can have peace in our time here. Neeb knows it. There's a clash. Time warps go down. Revelations go down. Scarlett looks to be withdrawing, though she might be trying to find a better angle. Oh, the Infestors with the fungal growths. Oh, that's 495, 496. Sorry, I gotta keep that kill count up there. I don't want to miss the moment. Wait for, there it is! We've hit the Crimson Zone! 500! It may have been the slowest Crimson Zone of all time, but we've made it! This game hits the Hall of Fame and goes into the official Crimson Zone playlist. It's a meaningless stat that gives me endless pride. Yes, Mr. Anteater, yes, our digital gladiators have entertained us. And we're still going. Neeb is pressing deeper. Scarlett's got to get her swarm hosts out of there. Neeb would love to get his hands on that force. Neeb has asserted himself in position over Scarlett's creep. Neeb is remaking Tempests and Carriers. Scarlett with more Corruptors. Oh, and Broodlords. Interesting. We still haven't seen Scarlett do much of anything with her Broodlords. Scarlett, by the way, has every Zerg attack and defense upgrade available. I'd have to check, but I think she's gotten every upgrade in the game. And we can see that Neeb has built 3 additional Stargates. He's using them right now to build his new Tempests. And he's built them on the right-hand side of the map because the left-hand side keeps getting hammered by the swarm hosts. Scarlett's air army looks so fierce to me. If she can get just 1 or 2 fungal growths on Neeb's Golden Armada, can't she just jump on him with that thing? Oh, clever. Scarlett's attacking Neeb's super defensive base with her swarm host from the north side. The Nexus is using battery overcharge to heal itself. But even still, that's way too many swarm hosts to survive. With eternal optimism, Neeb thinks about rebuilding the Nexus. But he's gonna have to dislodge those swarm hosts first. There's no way around that. And that is what he intends to do. Scarlett needs to get her swarm hosts out of there. Oh, the actual Nidus network's pretty close. That's gonna be a tempting target for Neeb. He's been dreaming about killing that thing for the last 20 minutes. But the Corruptors and Broodlords are here. Fungal growths are being fired. And Scarlett's looking to build a forest right around him. Neeb's using the superior range of his Tempest to try to soften up the Zerg forces. And it looks like he might just content himself with getting the hatchery. Oh, he tags the Zerg army. That's gonna help out his Tempest. He's only got 4 of them though. Oh, Neeb is rebuilding his Robo. I'm guessing he wants to be able to have observers again. He's also researching Shadow Stride, the blink for Dark Templar. Oh, the Vipers are coming in for the abducts. They eat some storms, but they pull out some Tempests. Fungals hit the Tempests. Scarlett kills 3 out of the 4. She has eliminated the Protoss range advantage. Neeb's gonna try to test his firepower advantage. Now Scarlett wants the mothership. The Broodlords are advancing on the Templar. The Void Rays go after the Broodlords. In come the Corruptors. This is the clash. Who's got this? Everybody's supplies falling. The Zerg is taking the worst of it. The Broodlords have evaporated. Scarlett is pulling out. Neeb is giving chase. He can't have a minor victory. It has to be total. Oh, but now the Fungals are connecting. Scarlett has a forest set up here as well. And now it's the Void Ray count that's falling. But so are the Corruptors. Scarlett sends in her Hydras while she tries to rebuild 20 more Corruptors. Neeb is repositioning. He has to dodge the Fungals. Oh, big Fungal hits. It's Neeb with a terrible case of mycosis. He's got eukaryotic organisms all over his army. There are yeast, there are molds, and yes, there are space shrooms. The Fungals may have bailed Scarlett out. She's gonna rebuild a new base. Her economy has taken a hit. Though let's be honest, the main factor in that is that her bases are mining out. I don't think we can give Neeb's assault all the credit. I can't believe the Nidus network survived. Neeb's shield battery thicket survived as well. He's gonna use that to recharge out. And now he's gonna rebuild his Nexus. He's even gonna elect to remake a few probes. He hasn't done that in ages. But if Neeb elects to play house, this game is gonna reset. Scarlett's gonna rebound right back on him. I think Neeb needs to push his advantage. But of course if he does and he eats another fungal sandwich, it costs him the game. I understand the preference for caution. It's just that I can witness Scarlett rebuilding at a faster rate than he can. With those changelings, it looks like a PvP. Scarlett is completely remaking her Broodlords, and she's adding a ton of Lings. Scarlett tries a counterattack on the left-hand side, but finds Neeb has really evacuated the left-hand side of the map at this point. He's going to be making his stand at his new base. Okay, stop it with the changelings already there, Scarlett. I keep thinking I'm seeing a Zealot run by. So in theory, Scarlett's only got 157 supply to Neeb's 199, but she's got 27 spores and 10 spine crawlers. So if you treat her forest as units, she's the equivalent of maxed. And by the time I say this, her supply shot up even farther. She's actually decided to re-drone. OMG, we are at the 32-minute mark, and this game is effectively getting reset. If this was in the 80s, we'd have to stop and take a body break. I am getting a square bum. I've been on airplane rides that have been faster than this game. I mean, I'm not complaining. If this game was over, I'd probably just go watch another one. I'm just saying these players are so incredibly evenly matched. At the time of casting, Aligulac actually puts Neeb higher. He's back up to 19th in the world, which is still quite a bit below where he's been. And Scarlett's all the way down at 30. And clearly it's the Homer effect, but I personally would have had that reversed. And for those of you who prefer Gosu Gamer, they put Neeb at 18 and Scarlett at number 43 in the world. And while I'm yakking about stats, Scarlett has maxed again. She has officially completely recovered from the near game-ending blows that Neeb laid to her. And she comes out the other side with the bigger bank. Oh, I think Neeb might be looking to try to drive back into the heart of Zerg territory. Everyone's swinging their forces to the left. Who's got the next big clash? Scarlett's Lings are forcing the action. Neeb's looking to rescue some of his old tech lines. He's using a second Cybercore to research air upgrades. He's gonna arrive and save it, but that gives Scarlett the intel on the Protoss army. She's maneuvering to potentially counter. Will she go for it? Nope. Not today. We got all dressed up for nothing here. How does this end? I've got to know. Oh, there's a clue. Neeb's gonna sacrifice more probes. Once again, Neeb is satisfied with his bank. He's gonna cut probes and try to get himself a bigger army. Scarlett's gonna see exactly what he's doing. This time, Neeb's gonna use his newfound space to make Tempests. At this stage of the game, 5 probes have to give their lives to build 1 new Tempest. Talk about sacrificing for the war effort. Whoa, Scarlett is at 30 Corruptors. She is ready for the coming air battle. And she continues to add new spores. Whoa, that 2,000 hit point pile of rocks just goes down in seconds. 2,000 hit points is quite a lot. A Nexus only has 1,000 hit points and 1,000 shields. Maybe Protoss should consider putting piles of rocks around their Nexus. Hey guys, check out this advanced defensive technology. I call it Big Honkin' Pile of Rocks. Oh, Neeb actually has space for 1 extra probe on that Nexus. I bet he wished he sacrificed 1 less now. Neeb is going to try once again to build that shield battery station to protect the left side of his base. He's just been hammered there all game long. Oh, how wrong am I? More probes are off to sacrifice their lives. He's gonna make his army even bigger. This time it's the Broodlords that are happy to oblige him. Oh, I believe the players are exchanging winky smileys. I like to think they're both acknowledging that this has been a pretty epic game. Or maybe Scarlett's just communicating that she knows what Neeb is up to with his probe sacrifices. Or perhaps it is obscure smiley speak for the battle ends now. The line will be drawn here. These are two powerful armies. It is time to find out who is superior. Oh wow, I was wrong. Scarlett did not have all the upgrades. She's just getting the crackling upgrade now. That would be extremely helpful if she actually plans to tear down Neeb's base with lings. He's gradually increased the number of photon cannons up to 7. Oh, Neeb's pegged the Zerg army. Is he thinking about it? After Neeb's latest round of probe sacrifice, he actually used the space just to build more oracles. To me, it's been a real revelation as to his late game strategy. Scarlett's forest is practically building its way into Neeb's base. I'm not sure he can ignore that. I think once again the issue's gonna be forced. Oh, Scarlett's not gonna wait for the crackling upgrade to finish. She's just gonna add a whole bunch more lings. Neeb is about to lose his most important base of consequence. His probe count is dropping. I think this is gonna push the issue. The upgrade completes. Scarlett's gonna rip down that nexus. Neeb no longer has an economy, not a real one anyway. I think this puts the pressure on him to go for it. He's making Archons. Scarlett's looking to advance her forest right into his face. She is ready. Neeb does not appear to be building anything. He's looking to micro. Oh, now he's adding interceptors. He's making sure he's at full capacity. He warps in Zealots to stem the tide on these Zerglings. This battle looks like a fight that would take place at the 6-minute mark, not the 36-minute mark. The real show, of course, is the giant air armies. That brewing conflict looks inevitable. Scarlett's sending down changelings to try to find out where Neeb's gone to. Even the swarm hosts are moving over to the left. Neeb's forces are having a football huddle. He's maxed out the last of his supply on 2 more Tempests. He may decide he wants them before he attacks. Scarlett keeps inching that forest forward. The Tempests are trying to cut the lawn. You know, if you overwater the grass, you get all kinds of creep. Oh, the kill count's way over 800. Scarlett abducts 3 Tempests. She kills 2, but the storms fly. The Corruptors retreat. And I think it's on. I think it's finally on like Donkey Kong. Yes, Neeb's going at the forest. He drops the Time Warp. The Broodlords and Infestors are in position. No, Neeb is not pulling the trigger. It looks like he's pulling back. He's going for just another revelation. I think Scarlett's marching in her swarm hosts. I think she's sacrificing. Neeb is looking to build a new nexus. This is not the hill he wants to die on after all. Or he's trying to get Scarlett to come to him. He'd much rather face her army off of the forest. Oh my goodness, this game could actually hit the 40-minute mark. I've watched best of 7s that have been shorter than this game. Even the Ursidon's coming over to see what's going on. And now it looks like Scarlett may be pulling back. Or is she just repositioning? I can't tell. She does look to be trying to swing her ground forces around to the right-hand side. She's stayed away from the Golden Armada all game long. It's a strategy of great patience. But somebody's got to blink here. The score count is at 39. They're gonna have to rename this map Ice and Chrome and Bones. I'm not sure what Neeb's plan is because he's not rebuilding his workers. He's got that nexus up on the left-hand side, but he's not doing a lot with it. His economy remains terrible and he still has the bigger army. That makes me think he wants to fight, but he's not doing it. He's just waiting for Scarlett to come out to meet him. Nope, he is pulling the trigger. He's going in. Time Warp goes down. Prismatic alignment is on. Scarlett harpoons the mothership. Neeb's gonna save it with a recall. Scarlett hits it with a parasitic recall, but it escapes. It does not go far though, and it can quickly rally with the rest of the army. Another carrier is lost to an abduct. Neeb has cut his way through a huge swath of forest. He's gonna push on Scarlett's most important hatch. He does not want to give up this ground. The Corruptors are turning to fight. The Vipers grab the mothership again, and this time the Corruptors get it. There's no more cloaked units. The Corruptors are going for it. The Infestors fire neural parasites on the carriers. Storms are hitting the Zerg army. The Corruptors fly amongst the carriers to try to dodge the storm. Supplies are dropping. This is the clash at last. Who has this? The Infestors are dead. The Infestors are dead. The Broodlords are dead. Neeb is coming out on top. Technically, Scarlett has the bigger army, but it is not here. Neeb claims the prize. He kills the hatch. But Scarlett has a massive bank, and she needs to use it. Neeb's bank is gone. He's using the last of his money to rebuild his interceptors. Scarlett calls for a round of 15 Corruptors. Is this a classic case of winning the battle and losing the war? Neeb is on the move. He needs to make something happen fast. The Corruptors have hatched. They are here. Scarlett is consolidating them, and they are many. They find one carrier that's been separated from the pack. They are like wolves going after the sick and the wounded. Neeb turns around to face the pack. He doesn't want to be picked off one at a time. Again, Scarlett pounces, looking to dodge the storm. And this time it's Neeb that's collapsing. It's GG! Well over 40 minutes. Scarlett is the winner. That was a game to remember. Okay, here are just 3 final thoughts on this very special game. Thanks to both our players. Number 1, don't diss the Zerg Forest. If your opponent is playing passive and trying to make you smash yourself on his defense, a great response for Zerg is the Forest. Stash your money on what is really extra units that go beyond your 200 supply cap. Once you've mixed enough spores and spines, there's almost nothing the Protoss can do to attack the Forest cost effectively. One exception is the long range of the Tempest, but in this case, Scarlett used Viper Abducts to negate that counter strategy. Number 2, nobody has ever dissed the power of the Zerg Remax, ever. Since Zerg builds production facilities by default as it expands, Zerg is always ready to Remax as long as it has the cash. Terran and Protoss, on the other hand, have to continually build production facilities to keep up. In this case, Neeb did not have the Stargates to keep up. And when it came to the late game, because of Scarlett's never-ending swarm host attacks, he didn't have the gateways to keep up either. Now, technically, he didn't have the money to keep up either. He had a bank when he started cutting probes, but continually rebuilding his interceptors gradually drained it away on him. If you haven't seen it, there's an absolutely famous game from Nation Wars on the World of Sleepers map, in which Neeb is in a similar tight spot against Sue late game. Facing Corruptors, Neeb ultimately tech switches from Golden Armada back into Stalkers, and suddenly all of Sue's Corruptors become dead weight. I've got that game actually cast on this channel if you haven't seen it, and if you're not enraged that I've totally gone and spoiled it, you can check it out. Here though, in this game, Scarlett has kept just enough of her supply in Infestors and Hydras, so that would be unlikely to work. Or at least not as well. Third and finally, nobody disses exploding carriers either. I may have overhyped this, but I did promise to show an exploding carrier. Here's one zoomed in on high def with slow-mo and a little bit of color enhancement. So anywho, let me leave you with this. When life hands you lemons, ask yourself, when exactly did life grow hands and start a lemon farm? To continue your StarCraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your StarCraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang StarCraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.